Imagine this. You are sitting on your balcony with a coffee, looking out at the sea on a quiet Tuesday evening. And the beach below is the kind of busy that only happens when the weather has been good all week. Sunbathers on towels, children working seriously on something in the sand. Someone further up with a barbecue going. A few people still in the water moving slowly the way people move when the temperature is exactly right. Then something at the waterline catches your eye. A fish lying on the sand about 30 meters out. Fish wash up sometimes, so you watch it for a second expecting the stillness of something already dead. And it moves. A wave did not push it. The fish is pushing itself forward, fins working against the sand, away from the water. You lean forward and notice a second one beside it. Then a third. And one of the sunbathers nearby has noticed too. She gets up, walks over, and picks one up and carries it back to the water and lets it go. Simple as that. The right thing to do. But when she turns back to the sand, it is already there again, already coming back toward her like she had never moved it at all. She tries again, and then again, and after the third time she just stands at the waterline with her hands at her sides, looking at it, not sure what she is supposed to do with what she is watching. And that is when you look at the full length of beach and understand that this is not a few fish anymore. The whole shoreline is moving. Fish spread across the sand and the rocks, pushing themselves further inland, and none of them going back. You look out at the water and the surface is breaking apart with them, thousands pouring onto the shore in a wave that does not stop, spreading further inland with every second, and every single one of them still breathing. By the time you look back at the beach, the whole crowd has reorganized itself around what is happening. Sunbathers on their feet, children being pulled back from the waterline, people wading in and carrying fish back to the sea and releasing them and turning around for more, the whole beach moving with this strange collective purpose that nobody organized and nobody announced. Some people are not saving them. A man further up has filled a cool box. A group of teenagers are loading fish into bags, the practical instinct kicking in alongside the rescue instinct, because if thousands of fish are going to come onto the beach, then someone is going to eat well tonight. And then people from the street start arriving. People who heard it from someone who heard it from someone. Coming down from the houses and the shops and the cafes with their phones out, adding to the crowd, everyone pressing toward the waterline to see it. And the fish keep coming, and the ocean keeps sending more. And then, while everyone is still looking at the fish, someone points at the waterline, and when you look, there is an octopus coming through the shallow water, pulling itself up onto the sand, and the people nearest it take a step back without deciding to, and then another, because there is something about the way it moves, the arms spreading across the wet ground, the eyes finding the crowd, that the brain reads as wrong before the conscious mind has caught up with why. Then another one behind it, then several, and when you look along the waterline you notice a sea snake coming through the shallows in a long, smooth line heading directly toward the crowd, and then giant turtles hauling themselves up the sand, and things coming through the break that nobody on the beach has a name for, creatures from depths that do not normally surface, and that is when the running starts. Not organized, not everyone at once. The people nearest the waterline first, turning and pushing into the people behind them, and the people behind them not yet knowing why, but running anyway because when the people in front of you run, and within seconds the whole beach is moving away from the water in every direction at once, people dropping their bags of fish, the cool box left open on the sand, children being lifted and carried, the barbecue knocked over in the rush, everyone streaming up the beach access ramps and into the streets. And then when you look at the water, a shark is coming through the surf. Then another one behind it, and another. And the crowd that is already running finds another level it did not know it had. The phone footage from this moment, shaking and loud, and capturing something that is on every screen in the world before the hour is out. The police arrive into this, and then the military arrives behind the police, and the response is immediate. Firing at the sharks, firing at the larger creatures coming through the break. And it works on some of them, and for a moment it feels like it might be enough. And then when you look further out at the water, something larger is coming, and behind it something larger still. A giant squid, longer than a bus, pulling itself across the sand. And behind that creatures that exist in parts of the ocean no human eye has ever seen. Things that have never had a reason to surface until now. And the firing slows down because nothing in the military response was built for something the size of a building moving through the shallows toward the city. And then the blue whale arrives. It comes through the water slowly, the way something that size moves when it has nowhere to be in a hurry. And when it reaches the shallows it keeps going. And when it reaches the sand it keeps going. And when it reaches the street it keeps going. 30 meters of animal moving between buildings, wedging itself into the city. And the sound of it against concrete and glass is something the people watching from upper floors feel through the walls before they see what is causing it. The military stops firing. Everyone who was still giving orders a moment ago has gone quiet, and the street around the whale is empty and silent except for the sound of the ocean still coming in behind it, still sending more, still not finished. The announcement comes before dawn, and it is not local. Every coastal country at once, the same footage in different languages on every channel, and the word they keep using appears so many times in the first hour that it stops meaning anything. You are told to pack for 3 days, and everyone understands that 3 days is not the real number. 3 weeks later, the world looks nothing like it did on that Tuesday evening. The cities nearest the coast are empty of people and full of everything else. Fish in the streets, in the parks, in the ground floors of every building where a door was left open. Creatures in the drainage systems and the rivers and the underpasses. The blue whale still wedged between two buildings on the high street of a city that nobody lives in anymore. The smell reached inland before anything else did, and it did not leave, and the cities that were evacuated in 72 hours have not been returned to because there is nothing to return to that resembles what was there before. The people who left with 3 days of supplies are now in their fourth week, and the supply chains that fed coastal cities are broken in ways that take months to fix even when the problem has stopped, and the problem has not stopped. Supermarket shelves in inland cities emptied in the first week, rationing started in the second, and the arguments about who gets what started almost immediately after that and have not resolved because scarcity does not resolve quickly, and the thing causing it is still ongoing, and nobody has a plan that works at this scale. The hospitals that were not evacuated are overwhelmed, and the ones that were are not operating, and people are dying from injuries that would have been survivable 2 months ago. Not only from the creatures directly, though that is happening too, in the rivers and the flooded lowlands, where the predators followed the fish and found that everything else living there was slower and less prepared. People are dying from the collapse of the ordinary systems that kept them alive without anyone noticing. The medication that did not get delivered, the operation that did not happen, the person whose carer could not get through because the roads have been blocked for 3 weeks. The fish reached the forests 2 weeks ago, following the rivers upstream. And behind the fish came everything that follows fish. And the animals that lived in those forests have been pushed further inland or are gone. And buildings near the coast are collapsing steadily as the foundations give way underwater and weight, and the constant movement of large animals through spaces that were not built for them. Disease arrived in the third week, moving through populations that are already stressed and underfed, through conditions that make containment difficult and spread easy. And the medical system that would normally respond to this is the same one already overwhelmed by everything else. The ocean is quieter than it has been in 200 years. The water completely still where the trawlers used to work. Because the trawlers are docked, and the crews are inland with everyone else, and the industry that fed billions has nowhere to operate and nothing left to return to even if it did. Here is the thing that nobody says on any of the news channels. We did this first. Not fish in the streets and blue whales wedged between buildings and cities emptied in 72 hours. But the same logic. A species deciding that another species' home was available, crossing into it without asking, taking what it wanted, disrupting everything that lived there, and leaving the consequences for whatever was already there to deal with. We have been doing it to the ocean for 200 years, and the nets that dragged across the ocean floor did not ask, and the plastic that reached the deepest point on the planet before we did not ask, and the warming water and everything we put in and everything we took out did not ask. We entered something that was not ours and treated it as though it had no occupants worth consulting. The fish cannot call the military. There is no evacuation order issued on their behalf. When something enormous and indifferent moves through their home, they have no emergency broadcast, no breaking news, no word like unprecedented to reach for, because what is happening to them has been happening long enough that it is simply the world they live in now. What you watched from your balcony, the confusion, the panic, the moment the scale of it became too large for anyone to manage, that is not a hypothetical for the ocean. That is a Tuesday. I made this video because of one question I could not stop thinking about. If someone came into your home, not asking, not caring, just taking what they wanted and leaving the rest damaged, how would that feel? That is what we do to the ocean every single day, and the ocean cannot tell us to stop. I am not saying we should stop using the ocean. That is not realistic, and it is not the point. We depend on it for food, for trade, for the air we breathe, and that is not going to change. But there is a difference between using something and treating it as though it has no value beyond what we can take from it. And there is a difference between fishing and emptying, between passing through and destroying. We know that difference. We just do not always choose to act on it. The ocean was here long before us, and what lives in it, and how much of it survives, depends on decisions we are making right now. Not impossible decisions. Not decisions that require us to give everything up. Just the decision to treat something we depend on with the respect it deserves. That is all this video is asking for. Not less, just better.